So we're talking to the founder and chief at eFactor Entertainment, India's leading wedding management agency. He's also the founder of Skywalls, India's leading hot air ballooning service. He's the founder and producer of some of the leading tourism-themed IPs across the country, the founder of ICWF, the International Convention of Wedding Fraternity. Really a proponent of the Indian wedding ecosystem today. If not him, then who would I ask this question? What kind of personality type would you recommend to enter into the wedding industry in India? In India, I'm saying specifically.
First of all, thank you for the lovely introduction, Gitikka. I think you need to be a jack of all. And in the true sense, that is really what one needs to be if you want to survive and if you really want to do anything which is worthy of any form of recognition in the business of weddings in this country, because the business, we call it the business, but it actually doesn't exist because it is just not organized. Business is limited to the extent of what we make of it, and thus, you really need to know everything about everything around you, which is why I say that you need to be a jack of all.
So people who haven't worked with Samit or have heard of his reputation, people like me who work with him, his philosophy, the bedrock philosophy of his work really is no compromise. I want you to enumerate for the students this no compromise philosophy of yours and how it really has led you to achieve excellence again and again and again at some of the best weddings that India has really staged over the last few years.
I think, more than a philosophy, this is a personality trait. And, and I don't think so that any form of education or training can really give this to you. You need to be a perfectionist. And God's been kind. I consider myself blessed to have got this to some extent in my system. I don't like standing number 2 in the position. So if I have to kind of make sure that I stand at number 1 in the position, I will also have to make sure that I work hard for it. And so which means it's a zero tolerance zone. You can't be compromising, because if you've compromised, means that somewhere at some corner at the back of your mind, you've silently accepted that you will not be standing at the number 1 position. So if you have to excel, if you have to be here at the podiums that this institution has to offer, you kind of need to make sure that you give out your best and just don't settle for the number 2 or the number 3 position.
What are the 3 main qualities that you'd look for in an event professional, whether for corporate events, government events, or social events?
I think amongst the various things, what are really important, one is your ability and the need in you to learn. This as a process should never end, should never finish, because learning is something which is very, very important. And most of our ideas, most of our inspirations, most of our knowledge will come from learning. So please keep your eyes open. Always try and look out there and search for things which are new, things that you are not aware of, so that the process of learning is continuous, because that is what will help you grow on a day-on-day basis. Because you would have done 5 things, but then what about the next 10 days? You don't want to continue doing the same 5 things. So there needs to be learning. So number 2 is that, one should never get into the rat race. I don't think so. Taking inspiration from people is great. Drawing inspiration from people's good work is great, but copying it is a disaster. So you can use the internet, you can use the Googles of the world to learn, to gather information, but doing a copy-paste of that is a huge, huge challenge and is something which really limits your professional growth. So be original. Try and take out time that you are able to write your own stories after having learned whatever you have. This is important because this will ensure that your work stands out in comparative terms when the others are also out there in the market. And last but not the least is dream big and plan to dream big. I think that's very, very important. In our journeys of being able to survive in this competitive environment, we many a times lose this ambition So it is very, very critical for you to be able to have large plans, and not large plans in terms of a career map. Large plans in your mind with respect to an event that you want to curate. And this process of dreaming should also be a never-ending process.
Samit, one advice for future professionals who are listening to you.
Something which is very important, and I would urge the institution to kind of make sure if they can incorporate this in their curriculum. I don't know how can this be made possible, but the problem with us human beings is that we get complacent very, very fast. And this business is not about selling a commodity. It is not about selling a stereotyped service. This business is about selling happiness. And this as a process needs to be evolving. It needs to be evolving on a daily basis. And this will stop if you don't have the urge to grow big in life yourself. So if you now combine all of these things put together, and if you combine all of these things and put them together, then one would understand and realize that the need of the industry is not only to have creative people or people chasing creative pursuits in life. You need entrepreneurs chasing creative pursuits in life. So something which I would strongly urge is incorporated in the curriculum, and to my fellow junior colleagues out there is that think like a Da Vinci, but work like an entrepreneur.
That would really be your takeaway from this little chat, and also my takeaway from my chat with you. Not the rat race, but the pursuit of excellence in this career. Thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you.